Hi everybody, welcome to my channel for a new battle report. So this battle report is the last game that I play before the Interregio with my Ogre list. I face one of my teammate from ETC Switzerland, Paul, with his famous, or infamous I should say, Dwarven old MSU shooty list. So definitely an interesting matchup to play and to train against, because you need to be aggressive if you don't want to get shot to death from distance. So definitely an interesting matchup, a matchup I must say that I've been struggling to win. I think I've always lost or maybe draw this type of matchup against the MSU shooty dwarf, but in most cases it didn't go well, and I felt I needed also to train my game plan against this type of list. So definitely a very interesting training, and also an occasion for me to put my miniatures, my finished army on the table and play with actual miniature, which is something that we all like better than playing online. So this is not the right list, actually I made a mistake here, but the right list is in the video that I show you in the introduction video about the tournament Interregio. So if you want the detail, please go there. And the list of my opponent, Paul, he was playing the following. So it's an MSU shooty list based on what he was playing at ETC. Basically the big switch here, he went for double Forge Warden, removed the lone Seeker, and put some magic in the list to support combat better. Basically that's that. We play randomly on the one of the configuration that was given for the tournament, and we got Capture the Flag and Frontline Clash. Below you have the spell selection, so obviously I picked double Chilling Gold to be very annoying against his shooting. I took Swarm of Insect, I took the Frenzy spell, which is huge in this matchup, a Totemic Summon, and I had Hereditary. And on the right you have his Battle Runes selection. Yeah, just a couple of thoughts on the matchup. If I can, I would be happy to drop for first, to try to be aggressive and see how it goes. Definitely the most interesting approach in the training. I'm going to try to put pressure everywhere, leave him no breathing space, so I need to push everywhere. Push with my monster on the flank, push with my big unit in the middle, and basically make sure everything is under pressure and he cannot focus on one target. That is really annoying, and the rest is less threatening. Secondary objective being flag should be mine no matter what. If I'm going towards him, I'm going to eat some flags, and definitely I'm starting at +3, which is a good news. How did it go for deployment? So Paul won the roll for side, gave me this part of the map. It's a pretty open map. It's one of the custom map that was made for Interregio, because he didn't have enough piece of terrain to play all table on official map, so he made some small adjustment on the official map. But this one is quite interesting because there is no impassable, so it's very open map, which with a couple of piece of terrain that could give cover, but not much as well. So I decided to drop for first turn. I put my Death Star here, I put here my Mage and BSB within the Mercvets block. Then you have my Frosty, Tribesman, Sabertooth Tiger, Strength 7 Giant, Scraplings, Cauldron Giant, second Cauldron Giant, and the Bruisers over here. So basically my thought process when I look at the map, I was a bit afraid that he might do a refuse flank and stuck in the corner here behind the ruin, using the wall and everything being quite in his favor. And I was a bit afraid of that. That's the reason why I shifted the center of my battle lines slightly towards the left, which allows me to march towards the ruin, but maybe basically tell him, if you choose the left corner, then I'm going to be quicker in combat, and if you pick the right side, that's easier for me to grow through, but it's a bit more distance between. And Paul decided basically to put the majority of his strengths on the right, some pieces in the middle, and small forces on the left. So on the left, starting on the left, he put one of the Copter, unit of Forge Warden, 3 Old Guardian, Greybeard, Vanguarding Warriors, a unit of Marksmen, I guess. This should be another unit of Old Guardian, Flame Cannon behind, another unit of Marksmen, Anvil, Greybeard, another unit of Forge Warden, and then on the right 2 cannon, the 2 Copters, and the 2 Grudge. That was his deployment, and then I'm going to start the game. So he vanguarded his warrior in front of me. Since my monster were looking to the flank, he basically allowed himself to push hard. Didn't matter much for me. I wanted to gain ground as much as I could. I felt even if he would have been here, I wouldn't have charged because he can easily flee to safety and then rally and chaff again, which is definitely something his list tried to do. So I was pretty happy to come as close as possible to him to tell him, you cannot flee. So we'll see what happened. I chaff him at the same time to avoid him charging my bruisers, you never know. And basically what I did is push Max in the middle with the giant, the 2 blocks, and almost the Frosty. And then I use on the flanks, I was a bit more careful by covering the angle. I didn't want the copters to be out of my line of sight on turn 1. I felt 6 turns of shooting in short range might do too much to my army. So definitely I used the giant to cover that, and also the scoring unit on the sides. So that was a bit my approach. After this turn, I have still the possibility to go towards the right, which was my plan A because most of his stuff is on the right, including his general, which is sitting right here. In the magic phase, I had the line of sight on his flame cannon with the mage, and I got lucky with Swarm of Insect. I one-shot the flame cannon, which is huge. Didn't expect that, but sometimes with a lot of dice you roll a lot of 6s, and then that happens. He passes both panic check, this one on 10 and this one I think 9 rollable. All good. He dispelled some chilling hole, and I got a totemic summon off, which he broke the spell just after I got off, which makes sense. And I went just here next to the cannon. I used my burst weapon but did no wounds to the cannon. And no shooting phase because I marched with the Merc Vets. His turn 1, I don't have any pictures, sorry about that. But basically, he turns, so he tried to move away from my charge range by moving with those flyers a bit more to the back, turning sideways to shoot at the totemic summon and make sure that he gets rid of it. Same from here, since I'm quite far away from him, he decided to turn around and just shoot the totemic summon and have still his cannon alive for the rest of the game. The rest just moved slightly back. In the magic phase, he got -1 to wound on this old guardian. He then got the magic move on them and moved them all the way to the back by using his tool to make +2 to cast, so he just got them all the way to the back. In shooting, he killed my totemic summon. He did 5 wounds to my Merc Vets. He did 2 wounds to the leftmost giant and 1 wound to the giant in the middle, but didn't hit with both cannon, which is quite important. I was within the forest, so he was hitting me on 4, I guess, with both. So quite happy that I didn't suffer more wounds on the first turn without chilling hole. My turn 2. Took the charge with the Frosty against his infantry. He passes the terror check on a 9. Other than that, I push again 12 and 12 with both my blocks. I kept behind with some small stuff. I decided to push hard with both giants, so the giant in the forest did 14 forwards because the grudge were looking that way. I wasn't too afraid of getting charged by some small stuff. And the same for this giant, push max forward 14. I use those guys to cover the angle, so in case they want to fly all the way here, I could charge them potentially. And the same here on the left with the bruisers. I also use this giant to push a lot and just give him, I think, an 11 on this charge. And I think that's it. Maybe I think I move. That's not exactly the final position. I think I switched the mage onto this unit. And I just made the distance here a bit bigger because I knew he could charge me potentially in the flank, which I didn't like too much. But I didn't find a way to really avoid that, so I make that as long as possible. In the magic phase, I got chilling goal off on all this shooting unit, which is nice. And then I got the frenzy spell on those guys. I must say, I made 2 mistakes here. First one, I didn't remember that they have leadership 10. I thought they had 9 as well. So this is not so good to cast on them. And second mistake was not to cast on this unit, because this would have basically forced a chaff to charge me. And there is general, which I forgot about. So 2 mistakes here. My thought process was these guys have a bigger charge range, so they are very likely to succeed in the charge, and they can only charge my 2 main block, which I felt comfortable about. So we'll see how that goes. And close combat, I didn't kill much, only I think like 5. He fled like here, and that's it. So yeah, not crazy good. I decided to restrain to avoid getting charged by Old Guardian at the moment. Yeah, that's it. His turn 2. He failed the frenzy with the Old Guardian coming here, and he failed that charge, which was I think on a 10. So luckily for me, because I think that could have gone badly for me if he charged me in the flank as well. So I should have been here, I think, a bit more careful. That was a risk. It's always the type of risk that you sometimes have to take in a rush. I don't know if I could have positioned better. I remember I measured that. I made that as long as possible. I felt also by him failing the charge with a unit that cannot flee, that might open up things for me. He didn't rally those guys, they continue to flee. So they're fleeing that way. The rest just moved a bit back. Entered with the miners to shoot at my giant. Positioned the small copter to shoot at my giant. On the right, positioned on the flank to shoot at this giant. He positioned the grudge in such a way that the strength 7 giant cannot charge the grudge, can only charge infantry, and he has counter charge setup. And this giant could potentially charge the forge, the greybeard, or this grudge, but I cannot attempt a charge at cannon straight away. And yeah, I think that's it. Those guys didn't move. I guess he just wanted to shoot, and he did some chaffing maneuver. So here in combat, here he uses the unit that I should have cast the spell, move out with the general, and march those guys in front of my Death Star. And here, yeah, I realized my mistake at this point of time. Magic Phase, he got -1 to hit in the close combat and -1 to wound, I guess. And shooting, so this time he rolled really good. He did, this giant died. So basically I had 6 wounds left on him. And with shooting plus a cannon, he finished me off. The giant on the right suffers 3 wounds. And this giant on the left that had 5 wounds remaining died as well. So I lost 5, 6, and 4, which is 15 wounds. Plus I suffer as well 1 here, so like 16 wounds on monsters, which is crazy. I didn't expect that, especially since I cast Chilling Roll, so I felt I could have survived a bit more, which is a bit of an issue. What happened in close combat? So here, those guys, we strike same time, the BSB goes before. I did 8 wounds to him, he did 3 wounds to me. He fled, and I decided to pursue because if I roll middle, I could charge the flank of the greybeard, which could be huge. And if I roll really high, then I can still charge the anvil. So I felt that's a win-win. He passes that check as well. So I pursue with them, roll an 11. So I ended up all the way here, and those guys I just one-shot them. The chaffing unit in front of the Death Star. My turn. So what I decided to do with the Frosty is to charge the fleeing unit, because this causes 2 I don't know if this one is rerollable or not, but at least this one is a 9 non-rerollable, this one is a 10 maybe rerollable. So I felt very interesting to do that, and then I failed the restraint to charge them in the flank. What I think I should have done is to charge directly them, break them most likely, pursue, hit those guys, so destroy them as well, and then just phase. I don't know if I can. Yeah, if I destroy them, it's an overrun. I catch them. I can check on leadership. Maybe to face those guys. Yeah, I could have done something else, I guess. I wanted to do too many things, and then I just failed the leadership check, and I cannot do like charge, overrun, and then get charged by them, but still in a fight that could be quite interesting for me. So I wanted to get rid of 3 units instead of making sure that I get rid of 2, I think, and I just got rid of 1. So yeah, not the best decision that I make. Giant decided to charge the Forge Warden because I really like the fact that I can overrun to the flank of the Grudge and then post-combat pivot and do a lot of stuff. Here I charge the Anvil with my Mergvets. Those guys charge some chaff, I guess. Let me see. Yeah, I charge some chaff. What did he chaff me with? Because he gave me this unit here. I don't know, to be honest, guys. Because the unit in the middle chaffed me last round. Let's have a look. So unit in the middle chaffed me last round. Oh yeah, they moved that round and I cleaned them on turn 3. Yep, yeah, that makes sense. So I charged chaff with them. And the rest just reposition to again cover some angles, prepare counter charge here, just move those guys back and so on. But as you can see, I already have less strength because now it's one monster alone on the left, and on the right this giant is not in a good situation. But at the same time, if I do well against the anvil, if I pin this one down, clean the chaff, I felt I could get all those points. Magic Face, I got Hereditary on from the giant, looking forward to the fight against the Grudge, making sure I don't suffer too much in this combat. Close combat, so I killed those guys, all of them. Against the anvil I fluffed. I put the stat here because I was curious, but basically I wasn't able to be in the green area. I did only 4 wounds, which is like yeah, like you can see here, so very unlikely. But I didn't do hitting on 2 up with poison, wounding on 3 up, and he has a 6 up and a 5 up. And I have 3 model in base contact plus 1 in the back plus impact plus stomp, so it's crazy amount of attack. But he's still alive on 1 wound and he's unbreakable, so that wasn't expected. A giant went through, I broke them, he passes the 9 rerollable on the Grudge, I overrun to his flank, which is really nice. And that's it. He's turn 3. He counter-charged me with the Grudge in the flank. Here we're in combat stuck. Those guys, they finally, that's not the final position, they march to chaff those guys. Here just move all his shooting to shoot at my Frosty. Those guys move here to my flank, wanting to shoot at me. Magic Face, so that was a charge on an 8 Swift Stride. Magic Face, I Binding Scroll, -1 to wound on the Anvil because I didn't want him to cast spell on this combat. So I'm going to Binding Scroll that one and dispel the other buff. And he got -1 to hit, -1 to wound on this Grudge, basically. Also got some fly move, but I don't remember exactly where. Shooting. Put all the shooting on the Frost Mammoth and kills me. So no Frosty anymore. I passes some panic check here. Wasn't too careful, but ended up being lucky. And then close combat, he killed 1 model, more or less, or maybe less. I think he did like 2 wounds. I killed the Anvil, Reform, Steadfast, Reform. Here I broke him, I did a couple of wounds, he did like 1 wound to me, he broke, fled off the board, I restrained, turned around to charge the cannons. My turn 4, I charged the first cannon, looking to overrun into the second one, charge out with Grisus. That got broken in the middle of the game. Grisus charged in the back of the Grudge, trying to get rid of him. The rest just move around, trying to get some throwing weapon here. Here I stay in front of the Greybeard because Grisus moved out to charge the Grudge. Wanted to make sure I get rid of him. And other than that, yeah, move those guys away. And the dog that was like trapped here in the middle, I just put him in front to delay something, but I felt I could just have move away and try to give 0 point maybe. In my Magic Phase, he dispelled Hereditary. I failed the Frenzy spell. I don't remember on who, to be honest. Swarm of Insect did nothing on the second cannon, just in case I failed the overrun. The giant in close combat, kill the cannon, overrun to the second one, so that's really nice. And here he kills another Merc Vets, and the Great Can finishes the Grudge. Perfect. Let's go twist on 4. So he's still chaffing my Death Star. What else? Move those guys. I think he failed the March check. I did nothing with throwing weapons, so just move away. That's dead, obviously. Just move around to kill my dog and push towards my battle line. The Magic Phase, he got some buffs off on, I think, the Greybeard, but didn't matter much. My turn 5, I charge here the Chaffing unit. My Giant, yeah, hit the second cannon, obviously, last round. So just position far away from his shooting. I have only 2 wounds left. I have like 1 Merc Vets left. I put him together with the Great Can. Put my BSB out as far as possible from his shooting. So he hasn't many shooting, like only like the 10 marksman guy can shoot me, but that's not much. And the rest I just try to move out of the way and save my points. Magic, what did I get? I think I don't know. No, we're in close combat. I didn't do much. Maybe a chilling hole, I think, on those guys, maybe. I didn't kill his chaffing unit. I kill all but 3. They flee through my unit, take 3 DT, passes all the DTs, and next round they're going to rally out of line of sight of everybody. It's so annoying when this happens. Obviously I wanted to turn those guys around. Maybe I could have pursued, actually. I turn around to look at them. but to be honest, it's still necessary to avoid him pushing too hard and get charged last round, maybe. So I think, yeah, still the smart decision, but just a bit unlikely maybe that I don't kill more than 7, I don't know. With a whole unit of tribesmen and a character strength 6, don't know. He's turn 5, he rallied the little guys trying to shoot at me, moves a bit forward to shoot, move those guys to shoot. Yeah, nothing crazy. Basically, he's going to end up leaving my... I'm going to end up putting all the character in this unit, move as far as I can with the guys with not many wounds. I'm going to try on my last round to take the 4 shots here, 2 shots here, 1 shot from the Great Cannon plus Swarm of Insect, but with all of that I do 0 wounds to the Greybeard. And on his last round he's going to shoot with Greybeard plus like a copter on my guy, and he did 1 wound and I'm still alive on 1 wound. So lucky me, and here I'm still alive on 2 wounds, and he's going to fail the last mark check, and that's it. So it ended up being a 15-5. I got quite a lot of stuff. He got half the Mercs, a Tiger, Frosty, and 2 Giants. And I got, obviously, Capture the Flag. I didn't lose any. I was very close to lose the Merc Vet, but I got several of him, which was expected. So yeah, quite happy about that. What can I say about the game, just to sum it up? The rush was only possible, I guess, because I start. We discussed that after the game. I think if I don't start, I cannot really rush him that way. Deployment allow me to push, to decide where I want to push. To be honest, I still don't know whether or not Paul should have make a refuse flank and try to be more defensive and less split on all the table. Maybe, I don't know. Dwarven all shooting hurts, but Shamanism helped me a lot rather in the later stage, because on turn 2, turn 1 was somehow special because he didn't do much without me having Chilling Hole, and then turn 2 I got Chilling Hole, but he did 16 wounds of monsters, so sometimes you cannot really follow follow what happens. And not fleeing against the giant cost Dwarven all a lot. I think he could have fled with the small guys. Maybe I fail my redirect check, and then I could have, if I pass this, I would have charged the grudge on the right, but at least I don't get overrun to the cannon and stuff like that. And I still have to find a way to manage the second grudge. So I think he could have played that one a bit better. Being stuck against the anvil almost cost me. I mean, if he rolled really good with his grinding, he could have potentially break those guys if I'm not steadfast. Lucky for me, I was still steadfast and he didn't do much. I still had a bit of a margin. He would really need to eye roll, but I was a bit afraid because it wasn't likely that I'm stuck. But yeah, at the same time, it's what happened with combat. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes very unlucky. Things like that can happen, but I didn't really expect that. More threats is useful on this matchup. I think having 4 monsters that can push on their own and cause third check and so on is quite important, quite huge in the matchup, and cause him a couple of problems. Unfortunately for me, most of them died before they could do much. I think I made a wrong decision with the Frosty. The way I decided to charge, could have done some things better. So definitely still room for improvement. And yeah, like I said, maybe could have done a refuse flank, could have been maybe harder for me to rush him. Also, I felt I could also play potentially a bit the standoff game and try to go late in the game for a flag or things like that. I don't know. Since I have Shamanism shooting, he has no organ gun, maybe that's also, if I play second, I think there is also some other decent game plan possible for me. The only problem being really the cannon. The fact that he can shoot 6 turns with cannon is a big problem for me, because he can do a lot of wounds and is not risking really with the misfire. So yeah. But definitely a very interesting game to play, and I felt I did okay with my rush, worked quite well. Would have been much more difficult playing second, so definitely that's also something that I will need to try at some point to get all the learnings that I need on this matchup. So guys, thanks a lot for watching this battle report. I hope you liked it. It was quite interesting for a game, I guess. And I will talk to you soon again on the channel. The next one should be the first game of the Interregio, so looking forward to show you that. Bye bye.